questions थे.
Assalamu alaikum, Ali Imran.
Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum, Shayan. How are you guys?
Very well. How are you?
Welcome to the show. I hope you've seen some of the episodes before. So to start off with, we give our guests a chance to introduce themselves. So let's start with Ali. Ali, tell us where you are right now, so people who are listening will know where you work, a bit about yourself, and how you met me and Maz.
So I'll start with the last one first. Last in, first out, right? Minam and Maz are both Zabist, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I first met you. I think Maz was one batch junior. I'm not too sure if you were also the same batch as Maz or not.
Minam is two batch junior to you.
Maz has failed couple of times, so then we were in the same batch.
It took me a bit of time to graduate.
So I was in Zabist and I met you guys there. Also, I worked with you guys when I was in Maxis in Lahore, and you guys were in Mindshare, if I'm not mistaken. Maz was then L'Oreal. I moved off to Islamabad and then off to KL. Then we met in KL, right? So Minam's been in KL 6 years today. Maz, I think 6 years minus 6 months or 2 months or something like that.
5 years.
So I met you guys. So I've known you guys a long time. The second one was what I'm doing. Where I am, I'm at home, Lahore. I've been here 2.5 years now, exactly the same as Minam. I think I've been here 2.5 years exactly. I've been working for Nestle as the head of media and digital acceleration. Before which I spent a good 12 years in agencies in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, KL, across the two major networks, really. So, yeah, that's about me. Shayan, on to you.
Welcome, Ali. Off to you,
The good part
Shayan.
is that Ali has actually missed out a lot of juicy details. We
Oh, yeah,
okay.
You want to
forget about it.
Let's talk about the juicy details. I like juice. We sell juice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Shayan, off to you.
Yep. So I'll follow Ali's routing where I met you two. Obviously, both of you were seniors, mentors back in Group M when I started off. Maz, obviously, I remember the days when we used to go and try and sell a certain ice cream brand in Pakistan, and going and pitching things that we knew we would sell, but we needed to go and pitch those projects. And obviously with Minam, obviously you've been my boss. We've worked massively on the Pepsi account, but even before that, again, going and selling things to a few toothpaste brands amongst other brands that we worked on together. And I think that's where I met the two of you. Obviously, now I've been with Reckitt for almost 2.5 years as the head of media and digital. Prior to it, I was a media manager for Pepsi, and then about 5 years back in Group M in various roles.
Brilliant. So welcome, Shayan. So Maz, what is the topic of the day?
अच्छा टॉपिक हम लोग इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं करेंगे बल्कि कर देते हैं इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं टॉपिक बेसिकली आज हम डिस्कस करें एजेंसी ऑफ द फ्यूचर और इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट ये है कि एजेंसी ऑफ द फ्यूचर में the two guests we have don't work at an agency right now. The reason why we did it is, I think, for the viewers to understand. Basically, you guys are clients, and it's not something that you guys have grown in a client. You worked in an agency for more number of years, perhaps, that you worked in a client side. So basically, हम चाह रहे थे कि from a client perspective, क्योंकि एजेंसी की साइड के ऊपर बहुत सारे न्यू बिजनेस मॉडल्स बन रहे हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही हैं, बट यू गाइज आर द मेन कस्टमर्स, इफ आई पुट इट दैट वे. If you guys tell what agency of the future looks like or what agency of the present would be or should be, what an ideal agency would be, that would be good. The first question, I don't put like a small little question. What are the challenges? You guys not working in agency right now, agency ka challenge kya hai currently? And don't think from a Pakistan perspective, think from a global perspective. Pakistan, what is the biggest challenge that you guys feel? And Ali, you can start off.
Shayan se karao. Aaj Shayan se karao pehle. Go for it, buddy.
Sure.
मैं तो इस पे बहुत ज्यादा चीजें हैं ना, so I think
नहीं ज्यादा लंबा नहीं बोलना Ali है.
I hope नहीं मेरा एक लफ्ज है, that's it.
अच्छा ठीक है
अच्छा
double
चलें
down on
मैं थोड़े से ज्यादा लफ्ज बोल दूंगा I guess but I'll tell you Mars I think and again I'm speaking from when I moved from the agency what I thought my key deliverables and what the client is expecting down to when I the last 5 years I spent on the client side and realized what we're actually looking for as a client, right? The expectation is that a good media plan, a good rate, and a good airing strategy, or now in the days like a good digital strategy and how well you get your KPIs is the final end goal or the expectation that the client has. The reality is media is actually a tip of the iceberg of a very big funnel and a conversation that is brand building and what we're trying to do. I think the biggest gap that is there today between an agency and the client is the fact that the client or the agency is trying to deliver on a plan. The client is looking for a bigger solution or a bigger problem definition that needs to be solved. And the gap that is coming through is that once we go and tell them that, there's a certain campaign and this is what we want to achieve or do, the solution that comes through is in the form of a media plan. And there's a lot of transition in middle and the conversation in the middle which aren't happening. The problem or the issue is both client and the agency, but the reality is the final execution seemingly becomes the end goal, and a lot of intermediaries that need to happen aren't happening. And I think that's the biggest challenge or the issue that is being faced today when we talk about this.
Got it.
I'll just take a subsequent question to it. Challenge to hai, but do you think why this is not solved? And I think we've heard it a million times as well. Like even at an agency side, that client is expecting you to solve a problem, not to send a media plan or a creative strategy, right? So why it is not yet solved?
Sure. So the problem is on both end, right? If I start again, to be fair from the client's end, how much time we're giving to the agency, how much information is cascading down, or how much depth of this solution or the problem solving are we giving to the agency. So that's there. But on the other side, the problem is when the opportunities are given, when there have been chances where information, the problem solution, everything has cascaded, that hasn't also come through. So if you ask me what the problem is, I would say there aren't the relevant appropriate resources there to be able to drive those solutions. And on the other hand, because those solutions aren't coming through, the clients have started thinking that execution is the only thing they can give. So let's just stick by it, and that's the only focus that they need to be driven with.
So basically, there's a gap in talent.
Of course, talent amongst other things. Yes.
Okay. So let's move to Ali now. Ali, what do you think is the major challenge? I think Ali's video is stuck.
Ali, we can't hear you.
Ali, your video is stuck.
Yeah. Can you join back? Yeah. Let's take Ali.
So Shayan, on your point, right? के agency के अंदर resource gap है, which is एक side की story, ठीक है? और दूसरा तुमने बोला कि जो client है वो भी इतना involve नहीं करते agency को at certain times, जिसकी वजह से agency को मौका भी नहीं मिलता करने का. But जब मौका मिलता है, तो they're not able to deliver.
Yeah.
ठीक है? Does this then come back? Okay, Ali's back, but does this then come back to the point that it also depends on how are you taking your agency as a partner or an execution hub? इसमें हम आते हैं. Just hold your thought. Ali, moving to you, right? So Ali, what do you think are the biggest challenges?
Just one. I think तुम लोगों का जो media boys नाम है, I think that's the problem. I think I understand it's supposed to mean boys or people, but I think it's and I think that's where the problem is also. Talent, in one word, is the problem with the entire industry landscape across the world. In my view, there's only one thing, and I'm not. We look at our agency as partners. We don't push them to do execution. In fact, we're pushing them to do more than just execution. And I think what Shayan was talking about in terms of you're not here to give me solar spot, radio plans, or a digital strategy, or a data and personalization stuff, or whatever. You're supposed to deliver some business results. And I think if you look at your best relationships in your career, you will also see, and I think Minam, I think if I'm not mistaken, Maz, you were working for Shell when they did that waste thing, and you guys came up with that solution. Wasn't that like a moment of? It wasn't that a beautiful moment when you were able to go in with a very smart strategy, and it was something that they picked up. They picked it up because, despite the fact that it had never been done before, it attempted before, because they trusted you as a talent, as a person, as a professional that could add value to their business.
As
And I
an
think
advisor, let's put it this way. I think, but Ali,
consultant,
I have
strategist, whatever you want to call it.
sorry to cut you. I just have
Go
one.
for it.
देखो ये वाली जो discussion है ना कि we all know there is a talent gap. Client is expecting a lot more in terms of you as an advisor, agency का role. But at the same time, we know talent is expensive. Okay. There is always this thing that comes up, and you both are, I think, wonderful examples of that talent being exported from agency to the client side because of everyone knows that there's a lot of talent that exports to the client side as well. Client, why
Well,
you
I
feel
think
that
that's part of the
talent?
problem also.
It is one of the
Because
problem. I work with the client
why
side
is
as
it
well, so I
that
know that
clients
there
are
is
why is it that the clients are picking up the best people from the agencies?
correct. No, client
It's
is picking
because
up, but I'm saying that
it's because they understand that the rest of the agency the agency will take too much time, too much bureaucracy, too much other stuff, peripherals to get the right people. And they used to be places where you could train people. Now, sadly, because of the churn that they're facing, they're not even able to do that. So whoever you see who's the best, you just pick them up. It's a
agreed.
real case study for me. I picked up the best resource in Lahore that I thought was the best resource as into my team, because I'm not gonna be able to wait for the agency to
Yeah.
find and then train and XYZ people, where I need to go and help grow brands. So yeah, that's one thought process.
And again, to Mars and Ram, to your question, again, in the client side, there will be one, maximum two media manager, right? The bulk of the resource remains with the agency. And now the problem is not that the best people are going to the client side. The problem is that the future set of best people or the future set of capability drivers aren't being built, right? The stream of talent has to come from the agency. I'll take your example. When I joined, there were people like you. You people left, there were more people coming in. I think what happened, there came a certain point, and again, the reasons are two. There came a certain point that the talent pool or the talent gap just became wider and wider, and there were a few reasons to it. Reason number one, I genuinely feel, was obviously you mentioned the pricing and the talent comes at a cost and everything. That's true. The other very valid reason also is that when we start off as individuals coming into the agency, the point is that you need to be driven, you need to be motivated, and you need to be having that sort of a structure where you will continue working in an agency. What happens in an agency? You come in, all the work is done on you because there are already less people over there. You build a new resource within a year or two to a point where they're drained out, where they're done with work and they want a quick exit out because it's not sustainable. The ecosystem or the work-life balance or the expectation is not sustainable. What other is happening? Those people who have survived through and have come to a leadership position, they are so drained, they're so done with it that they're not spending the kind of time mentoring and making and promoting the next set of people. So the reality is, yes, the talent is going away. The onus of building the next talent still remains with the agency. And why is that not happening? Is I think what we really need to come together as a system to understand that why is the next set of talent not
But
coming through?
Mr. Shayan, इसमें ये भी है ना कि locally I mean, that's a very good local perspective, and that's happened I think in the local perspective, I think leadership of agencies has had a major role to play. And you're right, when they come up, you think it's drained. I think they just didn't do enough. But if you go to where Minam and Maz are, Minam and Maz honestly work a lot on the talent. And I think 50% of their job is getting their talents up to date. In KL, I've had people that I've interviewed that said, or exit interviews, may people said, "Oh, I think I'm better off driving Grab 8 hours a day."
Yeah.
I've had actually people come in and say Grab is the Kareem. there. So people have actually come in and said कि यार मैं grab चला लूँगा, लेकिन ये नौकरी मैंने नहीं करनी, because I don't see this to be exciting, this to be motivational or world changing, or it's not a story. I had one girl that actually was amazingly brilliant. She left because she said, I want to go and be an events manager on a cruise ship, because when I grow up, I want to have a story to tell to my grandkids, right? I mean, things
That
like
happens
that.
a lot outside
Yeah,
Pakistan.
that happens a lot. Achha,
And so keeping them excited, keeping them there, I think
it's hard.
if agencies say that my principal service is strategy, consult, advisory, etc., whatever, then you need to be able to keep people with you, and you need to be
Yeah,
able to give them
absolutely.
something or the other. And that's part of talent to me still, because if you
Yeah.
don't have a big promise, a reason to exist, so to say, then maybe you don't have a reason to exist or a right to
And
exist.
I think it's a good point. But मैं शायद तुम्हारे वाले पॉइंट पे आना चाह रहा था, जो टैलेंट गैप एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है इस वक्त, वो टैलेंट गैप का कुछ ओनर्स क्लाइंट के पास भी जाता है कि नहीं यार. मेरा क्वेश्चन बड़ा सिंपल है. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर तुम्हें नजर आ रहा है या अली को नजर आ रहा है कि मुझे जो रिसोर्सेज मिल रही हैं वो मेरी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर सकती, ठीक है, तुम अगर एक राइट साइज क्लाइंट हो तो तुम्हारे पास इतना शेयर ऑफ वॉइस होगा टू रैटल द एजेंसी. उसमें क्या होता है, अंडरस्टैंड, दो चीज होती है ना. एक होती है कि प्राइसिंग है, सीपीआर भी मैनेजमेंट है, वो इज द ब्रेड एंड बटर ऑफ एनी एजेंसी, वो रहेगा. बट टैलेंट भी एक कॉन्वर्जेशन होती है जो आई अज्यूम, बिकॉज आई हैवंट बीन ऑन द अदर साइड, ऑल थ्री ऑफ यू हैव, कि क्या मीडिया मैनेजर के पास या क्लाइंट के पास ये अथॉरिटी होती है कॉन्वर्जेशन करने की कि भाई जो मुझे चाहिए वो तुम्हारे पास नहीं है, मैं तुम्हें अल्टीमेटम दे रहा हूँ या मैं तुम्हें 6 महीने दे रहा हूँ टू सेट इट अप, इफ नॉट आई एम मूविंग आउट.
So yes and no. Yes and no. So I'll tell you, Minam, कि क्या अथॉरिटी होती है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली इसमें अथॉरिटी होती है, लेकिन ये एजेंसी समटाइम्स इनसिक्योरिटी भी ले लेती है. ठीक है, becomes a matter of insecurity or ego कि यार why are you telling me what resources I have and who are you to tell me if my resources good or not. There are agencies out there who there, but I've also worked with agencies who are so open to this conversation that they actually sit with us to identify what is the person we need to hire and what's the kind of investments that we need to do to get the investment through. And I'm also seeing a few comments, and you also build up on it, CPRP and everything. Remember, CPRP conversation and a retainer conversation are two separate things. Just because I'm asking for a lower CPRP or cost does not mean I'm saying I'm not going to give you a retainer, right? Retainer is separate. The
correct. I agree.
Is separate. So again,
but the reason, sorry to cut you, the reason why I said that is कि जब आप एक okay, so forget that you work in whatever company that you work in, right? जब हम पेप्सी पे भी काम कर रहे थे साथ में, ठीक है, अगर मैं डिस्कशन करता हूँ कि मुझे एक्स सीपीआरपी चाहिए, तुम्हें पता है कि हर चीज का एक पीछे रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम होता है जो एजेंसी जिस पे कमाती है, ठीक है. तो अगर मैं सिर्फ एक स्पेसिफिक चीज मांग रहा हूं जो मुझे चाहिए, देन मेरे पास जो रिसोर्सिंग होगी द बैक टू सपोर्ट दैट भी सेम होगी ना. फिर मैं डिस्कशन नहीं कर सकता तुम्हारे साथ कि यार. और दूसरा ये कि क्या फिर क्लाइंट इन्वेस्ट करने को तैयार है. अगर मैं एज ए एजेंसी कल आके बोलता हूँ डन, मेक सेंस, मैं तुम्हें 2 स्ट्रैटेजी हेड्स दूंगा, मैं तुम्हें एक एनालिटिक्स का बंदा दूंगा और मैं तुम्हारे पास 4 प्लानर्स दूंगा, बट तुम्हारी कॉस्ट जो है ना वो 1.5 टाइम्स बढ़ जाएगी.
Minam, there are situations which I have faced where we have open headcount and open money to pay.
वो कभी भरा नहीं है.
Resources aren't. No, the resources aren't there. Like
भरा नहीं कभी, वो headcount पूरा नहीं होगा.
Like it's not an issue of cost. And to your point, कि obviously agencies ने अगर आप उसको CPRP और XY चीज बोलोगे वो वही deliver करेगा. And that's my point. Yeah, when you go to buy a mobile and the shopkeeper says ये ₹1,00,000 का है और तुम बोलते हो नहीं मैं 60,000 से ऊपर नहीं दूंगा, he tells you the reason or the values as to why that product is worth a certain value, and then you give the money. The point is value needs to be driven. If the moment you have a conversation with the agency for a certain resource and the answer, instead of saying कि yes, this is the value we will add at this cost, the cost is अच्छा आप retainer बढ़ाते हैं, पैसे बढ़ाते हैं, हम कर देंगे, and that's where the issue comes in, right? to drive the value. You need to make the agency understand, and they're within their frame, and they will be able to pay for a certain resource.
इसमें मेरा एक thought process है Shayan. Look, I mean, for talent and Maz, I was just thinking. Sorry, Minam. I've always taken responsibility for being part of the interviews, meeting people, and giving, getting into that conversation. Even
being at the client side also while they're hiring agency, right?
Especially being at the client side, especially being in the last 2.5 years being on the client side, or the advertiser side, if you want to call it that. I've always paid a lot of attention to it because I think Yasser is in the comments saying, "KG, pay peanuts, get bananas, monkeys, yeah, bananas. Let's guess which one." But it's true, and this is something that I've always maintained. So from our perspective, at least, and this is also fortunately the company I work for. This is the way that they work in any market as well. There may be some exceptions or not, or the other way around, or perceptions. But we're very, very focused on getting the right talent on board. But I think the other part of it is also not just. I heard the word giving them an ultimatum कि यार ये लाके दो नहीं तो मतलब क्या. If you're going to be that much part of the process, you have to understand that you're working then as one team. So the team that's in place is as much your responsibility as it is the agency heads. So for me, it's important to be you take stock of that, because once you do, you don't look at them as, oh, you do it or on your way. It is let's do it together. So that's something that I was conscious of, because some clients might look at it as ke kar de nahi to kat le, but we look at it as we have to do it. We have to do it together.
Together as a team.
And if it's not in Lahore, if that talent isn't in Lahore or Pakistan, do we import it? But I think on the other side of the spectrum is agency remunerations, where there is a lot of room to improve from the agency sides also. I think there is global benchmarks on what overheads should be, how much costs and expenditure, and so on and so forth, so that most of the amount of money that goes from a client's perspective goes into the talent that has a direct impact on the business, and not on the peripherals that and you minimize the peripherals. Obviously the peripherals are a big important part of it, but you minimize the peripherals as much as possible, so you have more focus on helping the brands grow.
No, that's a very good comment. I just wanted to just dig deep into it. ये इनके agency का काफी important part है. A lot of times people say कि यार agencies के अंदर जो cost structure आता है ना, and I worked at a client side, so I have understanding कि agency का बहुत सारे कुछ roles ऐसे होते हैं जिनका कोई direct impact आपके business पे नहीं होता. ठीक है?
नहीं, direct impact के अलावा in lot of cases कुछ भी impact नहीं हो रहा होता.
Correct.
मतलब I'm more than happy as for an agency to go and invest into a data and personalization director. I'm more than happy for them to go and say, I have a guy that will go out and fetch the best ad tech for you in the world. But ad tech should not be paid for in the overheads that are charged to the client. Ad tech should be paid for with the whitelisting fee that the agency charges. That's the problem. ESP का तुम दोनों को याद होगा, तीनों को याद होगा. ESP का मतलब पूरा strategy साल की instead of the planner जाके ESP present कर रहा होता था Mindshare में at one point in time, which is, and I wasn't here in Pakistan back then, and I saw one of these things and I was, ये क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग?
मैं नहीं कर रहा था, शायान कर रहा था. शायान था उधर.
शायान, मैंने तुम भी नहीं थे, मैं जब पाकिस्तान से बाहर था तब की बात कर रहा हूँ, so that it is relevant. And nothing, this is not something that I would have experienced on the job here.
अच्छा, एक चीज बोल दो अली. थोड़ी देर पहले आपका एक पॉइंट था कि टैलेंट की somewhere around टैलेंट की जरूरत है कि नहीं है, उस टाइप के टैलेंट की जरूरत है एजेंसी में कि नहीं, which brings to another point that we had, another question that we had, which is about in-housing, जो हम लोग बहुत सारी जगहों पे अब ग्लोबली भी सुन रहे हैं, रीजनली भी सुन रहे हैं. और मेरे मास के पास पर्सनली पाकिस्तान का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है पिछले 5 साल का, बट इन-हाउसिंग का वर्ड बहुत ज्यादा अब निकल रहा है, और बड़े बड़े क्लाइंट्स, पीएनजी हो गया हो या यूनिलीवर हो गया हो, इज वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स दैट. सो पहले वो स्टार्ट करते हैं प्रोग्रामेटिक से, फिर वो मूव करते हैं नॉर्मल डिजिटल पे, एंड देन दे विल मूव टू करेक्ट सोशल, एंड देन दे विल मूव टू अदर प्लेटफॉर्म्स आल्सो. तो क्वेश्चन इज, what is your perspective on in-housing? Is it something that will be beneficial for the industry? And second, in Pakistan currently, is those kind of conversations happening or not?
So those conversations are happening. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Those are serious conversations. And those conversations and those opportunities for in-housing arise from the fact that agencies, despite talking the talk, haven't been able to walk the walk. And I think that's where, and I would beg to differ with the title of the conversation because it's not in-house agencies, it is in-housing specialist functions.
Okay.
So somebody who's a consumer journey CX specialist who
Yeah.
does tracking, mapping from your sites to your e-commerce to your advertising and just really setting up the entire consumer journey and enabling personalization. You would have personalization and performance specialists or even SEO specialists that are coming in-house because the capability doesn't exist with the agencies. You have lower funnel specialists that are popping up in clients, and you have other such roles that require that much more immediate attention.
Yeah.
In-housing is something that I know that the company that I work for, Nestle, in fact, in Pakistan, had started on as far back as 2014 when they created something called the Digital Acceleration Team, or 2013. And what they did was they worked with the agency to man the whole place. So we put six people, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 6 people inside the Nestle premises. So it was a in between, right, where we put 6 people inside Nestle, which were doing community management, which were doing social listening, and that they were doing, public relations management and so on and so forth, as well as digital acceleration. So a multitude of roles. Obviously, we've streamlined that a lot since then, but essentially, it was a go-between having an in-housing of a specialist function, but it was run by Group M. I don't know if you know this, but essentially, Group M was the sort of they were on the Group M payroll, but they were embedded into Nestle
Yeah.
for deeper access with the commercial teams. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's that's one. So it's happening. The conversation's happening. It is not in-house agencies altogether. It is specialist functions in-housed at the advertiser end to take more ownership of what they're doing. Really, the second part of it is how is it going to impact the industry? I think my root cause on this analysis is the RCA says it's the agencies that couldn't build capabilities because a lot of agencies that I've worked for in KL
Yeah.
did offer these capabilities in-house. In fact, they went forward. I'm not sure if you know, but for a lot of clients in KL, Publicis offers a one-stop shop solution, Publicis One, where if you want to develop creatives, if you want to do digital creatives, if you want to do really anything, we could do it for you in-house. So if it can happen there under that concept, I know WPP is moving towards a more merged structure as well. I know some other agencies are in plans and are doing it. So it's happening in places and pockets, but really as a widespread global phenomena, in-housing is happening because we need more specialists to come in and take care of these things. How it's impacting talent, I think a lot of talent gets opportunity to go into bigger advertiser structures, learn from how that whole thing operates. I'm not sure if they are able to go back into agencies or how their future pans out. So I think I'll count that as a negative. Also, on the agencies losing potential jobs, potential revenues, I would think it's a net sum negative for agencies, but net sum business, I think it's a win-win for us. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things where we have to do what we have to do, and
But it's helping the advertiser, right? I think net it is what is helping the advertiser.
it's not helping the agencies continue to exist. But yeah, sure.
But
I mean,
how can agencies benefit this? Dekho, in housing, I think you gave a very good example of Publicis One here in KL,
Yeah.
right? In Malaysia, they came up. Can you just elaborate a bit, because I think we have a lot of people who are not based out of KL majorly in Pakistan. What was that business model? Because I think that's a beautiful business model, to be fair.
Yeah.
How can agencies take ownership of that and say कि okay, वो negate नहीं करें, ये नहीं बोले कि नहीं यार in housing से दूर रहना है. You take it as a positive and then you say okay, let us help out clients. How you guys have done it in Malaysia?
Yeah, so I can just quote one client where we were working with them on just as a TV agency, and we said, "Ki Lazada." It was our first e-commerce client. It was sort of and really when Publicis One happened, the concept was we have like WPP, we have several agencies under our network. Let's bring them all together, and let's not be theoretical about it. Let's be practical about it. If you have one agency under one CEO, one finance, one
I think Ali ka.
Yeah.
So,
We can't hear Ali.
while Ali comes back, I don't know if he's here or not.
Shayan, your voice is also breaking quite a bit.
Can you hear me now?
We can, but it's breaking quite a bit.
It's breaking.
Let me come back.
Yep. तो Maz, I think interesting discussion चल रहा है, right? So in housing पे मेरा point थोड़ा सा different है. मेरा point ये है कि यार in housing कुछ clients ने कोशिश जरूर की है, but जब वो scale पे आता है ना और जो cost involved होती है, because जो initial problem है ना at heart is कि media is considered as a cost function.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you. I agree. I think in-housing is not for every client.
Correct. In-housing. Sorry, Shayan, हम लोग आपस में एक बात कर रहे थे, तो we just finished that off.
I said in-housing is not for every client. That's my point of view. You need to have a certain.
जैसे आप scale बढ़ाते हो, cost बढ़ जाती है, and it goes back to the point. Shayan, you were saying something. Sorry.
As well, I think Ali, if you can continue with your comment, we completely lost you. Can you hear us?
So I published this one comment. Yeah, I got disconnected because of choppy internet. Third world problems, don't worry. But essentially what happened with Publicis One was it came together under one roof, one CEO, one everything. And the proof of concept was, one of my proof of concept clients was Lazada, where we went in, we were doing just TV buying for them, and we said, okay, karte hain, kya kare? And there was an opportunity once on creatives, branded content, we went into that. Then there was an opportunity on creatives, we went into that. Then there was an opportunity to work with our PR agency, which is the in-house PR agency at MSL. I think it's called MSL at Publicis One. We went into that. They wanted to do creatives. We went to Publicis Worldwide Creatives and Leo Burnett, made that all happen. And I think, so Lazada never really had to leave the network. So when they did a pitch later on, and they went on to another network, they are like, "Acha, idhar ye nahi milta. Acha, ye saath nahi hai. This is separate. Okay, what's going on?" And literally, our pitches would also be. I remember one of the pitches that we did back then was Campbell Soup Co. And the whole thing was integrated. It was, I believe, the concept was amoeba. So we said there's a central guy in the middle who's the group, who's the client director, regardless of what you call them. You have specialists coming in to support him, but he's the guy that you talk to. So the client has literally a one phone call away to do everything. So their creative, their digital data strategy, their personalization strategy, their entire full funnel architecture, everything was done by Publicis. And that included several agencies to come together and make it all happen. And I think that's the kind of thing that sort of drives value for clients because, I just have to go to this one. In a more complicated world, what do you crave? It's simple. Simplicity. So the more complicated things get, the more value there is to simplicity. And I think that's something that the agencies need to realize fast. Because increasingly they will come to you with buzzwords. And if you're somebody like me who has an aversion or an allergy to buzzwords and consequent inaction, then because you know how buzzwords are, they're just buzzing. They don't have any action to follow up with them. So अगर तुम कह दो कि डेटा स्ट्रैटेजी बना दो तो फिर वो काम करना नहीं आता किसी को, बातें करना सबको आती है. Or agency, a lot of people learn the wrong lesson in the agencies, right? Because you're told कि यार storytelling करनी है, but then by storytelling, a lot of people understand कि यार buzzwords फेंक दो बहुत सारे. Keep throwing buzzwords, and something will stick, and then we'll have to do nothing about it.
Yeah. Shayan, moving to you. You were saying something before you cut off, or you're still frozen.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Choppy, but here.
So
No, can't hear you. It's chopping quite a bit.
Completely choppy. अच्छा मुझे चीज बता, I think it's a beautiful concept.
Unrelated बात करते हैं कोई.
नहीं, simplicity की बात कर लेते हैं, ठीक है? Simplicity. I think I love this thing. Do you think agencies have made their life miserable by being so complicated now? कि हमारी ये डेटा टेक है, ये हमारी एड टेक है, ये हमारी मार्टेक टीम है. Perhaps as a client, what do you expect? Like agencies
So
to be much more
I'm not
simple.
going to go into the client side of this. I think the side of this that I'm on is on the agency side. I was, as you know, I was on Zenith Optimedia, Blue 449, then Publicis One, and so on and so forth. In Publicis One, I think we had a theme where we said there are hunters and there are farmers. And it was simple and it was beautiful. The hunters will go to everything from new client pitches to amazing new client ideas and proposals, and hunt down the right ad tech or martech to go pitch to clients and create revenue opportunities out of that by whitelisting and so on and so forth, and such things, right? Or attend high level meetings for troubled clients, etc., etc., etc. Versus you had the farmers who do the job on the ground, the boots on the ground, the guys that will move the armament from point A to point B, the guys that will go fight the war, the guys that will go have the daily relationship, and so on and so forth. And I think that's, if you organize yourself simply, put down your scopes easy for your people and yourself, then, there's nothing left to stop you, right?
Yeah.
In my view.
Shayan, moving to you, around in housing, you were saying something before the internet
I think
died.
Shayan is frozen.
It's died again.
Again.
Oh.
Shayan, there's a major connectivity issue.
But he's on his phone now. It should work now. Fine. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. एक काम करते हैं, माज एक काम करते हैं. Let's take a small break here and take some comments in. कुछ यासिर के comments हैं. एक दो ही
यासिर
हैं.
है, बाबर जावेद खान की भी है.
Okay, let's just take one by one. Okay, let me just try to see.
I liked Yasir's comment. It was funny.
Okay, let's just do one thing. If you can see the comments, right? You just try to give answers to that. I think the Yasir is a one-liner comment. Are you asking or the other one?
नहीं, उस पे ना हम लोग guesses करते हैं कि what he meant by the ... तो मेरा तो ये था कि I think pay peanuts get monkeys, and you can idea आप दे. What's your thought? What does he mean by ...
I think simple है. If you pay peanuts, you get nothing. That's probably what he's trying to
do. I think that's as simple as that.
Okay,
I think Babar ji YouTube pe comment hai. I'll just put that in. I think that's a discussion that is happening. I think I just wanted to hear your point of view on it.
So Babar is saying, in the interest of brand safety and vote with your dollars, should advertisers blacklist channels that are air content?
Absolutely, man. There's no two ways. There's no two ways about this.
Agreed.
I mean, for me, we have whitelists and blacklists in place. If there is a campaign, and this is a global thing, I think most clients like Nestle, P&G, RB would have these lists. These are pretty standard. If they get missed, it becomes a huge issue for us. If something new, when like COVID came in, there was an immediate reaction from the global community to sort of not be around the COVID news content and so on and so forth. So, but I think this leads to another question, which is this the same thing that you should be treating? Is this the same yardstick that you should be holding news TV channels to?
It's an interesting question.
That's a good comment. I just wanted to clear out one thing. I think blacklist and whitelist, let's just avoid that word. I think it's an inclusion list and seclusion list.
Correct.
So let's just not use the white and black list.
But I think for Babar, right? So I think it's across the world. Major advertisers have a certain benchmark that every agency has to follow. So back in 2019, early, there was this issue with YouTube where there was some pedophilic content that was available, and there was a big roar around it. So a lot of clients at that time also pulled off, and then the agency started going back to YouTube with certain exclusion lists. So I think that's something which is very norm. If it's not in Pakistan, because my experience is not in Pakistan last 5-6 years, then it has to be implemented, at least for the bigger clients that are advertising digitally right now.
And I think the agencies, so for smaller clients, I think the agencies need to lead this.
Obviously, the pace of content and the pace of platforms coming is so super fast on the web, right? That sometimes it's fast. The content uploading is faster than you can blacklist or whitelist.
Yeah, we couldn't get you,
We
Shayan. Just went
we
off.
couldn't catch you.
अच्छा, next लगाओ, Maz. Let's
तो
take
मुझे
another
एक
question.
इसमें था एक चीज जो थी, I think there is, I think two Babar's comment, right? There are certain directions. So clients like Nestle or P&G, Unilever, RB, etc., Coke, Pepsi, whatever, will have those exclusion lists, or
Yeah.
the nice safe word that Maz was talking about, and that's something that's good. But I think then for the rest of the industry, the agencies should be leading that effort. And I find that in a lot of cases, if you don't care, I don't care.
But
It's something that as an
Yeah,
ethic,
but that's a
as the
good point.
ethics
That's a
of
really
media,
good point.
as an ethics of media, agencies do
I
not have a
agree.
standard. And I think that's something that comes from, I don't know, just don't care enough,
But I
or I'm
think,
too busy handling my clients to deal with this also, or
yeah,
thought leadership lacking at the CXO level, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to point at one. I'm just giving the
yeah,
the
random
whole
examples.
laundry list of it, right?
Yeah.
But I think agencies don't do that often enough, and I don't think they do it in Malaysia either. So I think you'll have this for Shell, you'll have this for your clients, but for a lot of these clients, they don't care
It's very client
themselves.
driven. It's very client driven. Clients have these certain
Why shouldn't?
policies.
So, for example, Malaysian Airlines की नहीं है list, या Air Asia की नहीं है list. Should the agency not go and tell them कि होनी चाहिए तुम्हारी? I think that consult doesn't come. That thought leadership doesn't come. Not even in KL. And I remember not doing this for the clients that didn't care. And that's where I'm coming from. And I'm just owning up to that, because as an agency leader, I wasn't worried about it. But that question sort of made me think about it.
Okay, that's good. Comments ab khatam kare, and I think let's just go with one new agency business models. I think I just wanted to have a quick chat on that. Yeah, agency business models, and I think we all know agencies are here to make money. We all know that, right? It's not like an NGO. Okay, but agencies are thinking about new business models across the globe. Pakistan में भी चल रहा होगा. उसके कुछ हमने कुछ लास्ट एपिसोड्स में भी डिस्कशंस किए थे कुछ रेवेन्यू अपॉर्चुनिटीज के ऊपर. What is the, and I'm just asking you as a client, as an advertiser, जो हम गैप्स की बात कर रहे थे ना, what are the gaps which Shayan also mentioned कि यार कुछ चीजें हैं, opportunities available हैं, but there is no one to actually take them. What are the gaps you feel agencies should say कि okay, this is an opportunity, you as an advertiser, you might have seen such an opportunities कि यार ये चीजें हैं जो मैं करना चाहता हूँ लेकिन मेरे पास लोग नहीं है, I want someone to fill that gap. What are those opportunities?
Yeah, बहुत है. So I think it's, and I'm not going to go into exactly what opportunities there are. Obviously, there are some of the obvious ones that agencies are already talking about in terms of all the stuff that we're in-housing should have been stuff that agencies should have picked up anyway, and didn't, and that's why that's being in-housed. So that business model is getting lost. I think the agencies need to just come together and say, we will not do commission. We will pay. You pay for talent, and then that makes them also focused on grooming the best talent and retaining the best talent and paying for the best talent. So I think that's the simplest fix in the agency. Easier said than done, I understand, but I try getting the agency leads or network leads in one room. Any country, that's going to be a mess. It's going to be a bloodbath. It'll be the red wedding. But it's possible and it is doable. If you have an existential threat, why would you not come together? And I think that's something that globally has to come into play. Agencies need to come in and say, we are hubs of talent. That's what we've traditionally been paid for. And that is what you should be. That should be the remuneration model. Obviously, there is MarTech, AdTech, whitelisting. There is data. There is personalization. There is creative. There is content. There's several things. But the most important thing an agency must do is really know the nerve of your clients and know how to create opportunities. So maybe agencies need to develop entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship courses or trainings for their people. आपने जब वेज वाला किया था, या हम लोगों ने जब लजाड़ा वाली जो चीज की थी, या several other clients पे हम लोग जब चीजें करते रहे, we even were creating digital creatives. I remember on one of my clients, which is a tech company whose mobile phones you use a long time ago, 2014, they had a problem with their creative agency who was charging them 500 ringgits per digital creative iteration. We went in and said, we'll do it for 100 rupees, 100 ringgits. and how it was costing me only 40 ringgits per piece. Because if you've gotten one creative done, the iterations are just a resizing exercise that if you have an in-house graphic designer, if you just hire a creative guy, a designer, you could just sort of start doing that fast and make it happen. And I believe in that 1 year, we had a huge revenue input because, as you know, Samsung does a lot of digital creatives, display advertising. So for us, that was easy. Obviously, that got beat out because the machine started to do that for you. But back then, machines weren't doing it. And then once machines start doing it for you, you have opportunities in whitelisting and so on and so forth, where you go pick up the newest, shiniest tool and you go present it to your client, and then you make a whole thing out of it, make a nice, shiny video out of it, and have them pay for that also, hopefully. But there's the agency business model has always been about consult and partnership and advisory. So in that consult and partnership and advisory, you will find several opportunities. There are opportunities even as far as, for example, right now, there are very few solutions to measure the pulse of the digital consumer and really readily be able. There's no running big 45,000 50,000 logon ka panel in Pakistan or even in KL. An agency with a bit of investment could potentially put that together. Just doesn't exist. And then that's a service that you could sell. That's my 2 cents on it. So get a pulse of your clients, understand their problems, and try to address them with solutions that you can whitelist and make a bit of money on.
Okay. Shayan, can you hear us?
I don't think so.
Hello? No, still breaking.
No, we can't.
Yeah, it's breaking quite a bit. So, Ali, आपने इस बारे में थोड़ी सी बात की थी just a while back.
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ थोड़ा सा.
अच्छा, पूछे. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, what do you guys think? From the perspective of you see clients and I see agencies, so the roles are reversed. In a friendly conversation, the idea is to understand what are the kind of issues you face from clients and I think this is helpful for me because this is something that I'll take to work tomorrow, literally, or hopefully Monday, not tomorrow. But what are some of the issues that you see from clients which are not helping you guys grow or not helping you guys continue to exist? I feel that it's an existential problem. So what are some of the issues that you think client or things that clients should start doing to help agencies grow within reason? मतलब ज़्यादा पैसे दे दो बड़ा आसान काम है लेकिन
नहीं I get it. यार सबसे बड़ा जो है ना वो जो एजेंसी एज अ पार्टनर वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है ना वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है क्लाइंट्स को अंडरस्टैंड करना, राइट? बहुत दफा ऐसा होता है कि क्लाइंट जो है वो एजेंसी को एज एन एग्जीक्यूशन हब ही देखते हैं. आप सबसे बेस्ट रिसोर्स वहां पे लगा देना, वो भी बर्न आउट हो जाएगा बिकॉज जो काम मांग रहे हो ना वो मांग रहे हो स्केड्यूल तो भेज दे टाइम पे. वो कॉन्वर्जेशन आपको स्टेप ही नहीं देते कि आप सीएमओ के साथ बैठ के कॉन्वर्सेशन करो कि यार तुम्हारे जो है वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का प्रॉब्लम है, व्हाई डोंट यू थिंक फ्रॉम दिस एंगल. हमारे पास लोग बैठे हुए हैं जो ये सोच सकते हैं, setting outside their system, and it's always nice to have a different point of view. That's what I feel. कि एक तो एजेंसी एज अ पार्टनर की सोच, क्योंकि एक जो रिवर्स मसला है ना वो ये है कि क्लाइंट ये बर्दाश्त भी नहीं करता है टाइम्स कि मेरी एजेंसी पैसे कमा रही है. उनको ये कॉन्सेप्ट है, maybe not true for you, Ali, but
no, I think this is. I agree. So to be fair, my thing was, it's called value for money. If there is value in it, I'm willing to pay the money. That's how you should look at agencies. And I think you're right. I've seen this also. To be fair, I've seen this also where a lot of clients were stepping on our feet saying, oh, why are you trying to make money? And what happened to me as a senior agency resource was, okay, you know what? You go deal with my farmers. I don't have time for this. Simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
बट वो जो कॉन्सेप्ट है ना कि एजेंसी क्यों पैसे कमा रही है उतना ही कमाई कर दे रहा हूं,
ज्यादा है उन लोगों में जो कि सैडली एजेंसी से क्लाइंट आए. There's another problem that I feel and Maz, you and me have been there, and I've seen several clients that I've dealt with who went from the media side to the agency side to the advertiser side. A lot of what they were doing was gatekeeping. And I think gatekeeping has never helped businesses.
Never.
So we're very, 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 very cognizant. At least
Yeah.
I try to remind myself every day कि यार ठीक है gatekeeper नहीं है हम लोग. I don't need to be part of a conversation between the brand manager and the
Yeah.
planner on a
Yeah.
daily basis. करते रहो बातें आपस में.
हाँ, कोई
Yes,
Zyada
the
discussion
media
करो.
करो.
schedule
That's
needs to
that's
get
good.
approved. The strategic initiatives need to be approved. Fine, but even my job is to go to the brand managers or talk to the brand managers
Yeah.
or marketing managers or the business
Yeah.
unit controller, हमारे जो business heads हैं, and really talk to them about how or consult them on how to grow their brands. And that's really the primary job of in-house media consultant,
But
not to gatekeep every single. अच्छा तुमने
correct.
सांस क्यों ले लिया आज? अच्छा
नहीं,
तुम पैसे
exactly.
कमाने की कोशिश क्यों
No,
कर
I
रहे हो
think
आज?
that's important.
वो भी
I think
इनसिक्योरिटी
partnership.
से आती है. वो भी इनसिक्योरिटी
Exactly.
से आती है ना. वो एक डर होता है, राइट? कि यार एक डर होता है, दूसरा कि मुझे पता है कैसे काम होता है. लेट मी स्क्रू देम
फर्क होता है थोड़ा सा. मैं I think I never wanted to be on this side of the table. I
Yeah.
actually was loving what I was doing in KL.
Yeah.
Till 3 years ago, I really enjoyed Publicis One, and I was and being at the forefront of a major landscape shift or a paradigm shift was something that I really enjoyed, because nobody else in the landscape was bringing media and creative together, bringing specialist services like Digitas and MSL and influencer marketing all together under one roof. Just hasn't happened yet. And putting real AI, not the conversation of AI in the picture. That was happening, and these are things that are happening for you guys also, right? And so for me, it was never about wanting to go on the advertiser side, and that's something that I think keeps me cognizant and keeps me personally rooted. But I think a lot of people grow up thinking, बड़ा होके मीडिया मैनेजर बनूंगा, and I think that's something होता है ये, और हुआ है, और तुम्हारे सामने हुआ है, और मास तुम भी लॉरियल इसीलिए गए थे, right? But then you realize there's not enough there for you.
No, I
And then
left for some other reasons, but that's fine.
चलो, yeah, and I'm sure L'Oreal was
But I
great.
think I'll
I'm
just
sure.
add one thing on the client side part, right? I think जो partnership वाली मिनाम बात कर रहा है ना, and I'll tell you a real life scenario there. When I was at L'Oreal, there are some issues that happens. Like majority of the time, you have issues happening. So I remember I have a conversation being on the client side कि यार एक ही एजेंसी के साथ सारी ब्रांड टीम्स काम कर रही हैं. दो ब्रांड टीम्स जो हैं वो कोई अमेजिंग कैंपेन्स
आसमान से
निकाल
तो
रही
नहीं
हैं
उतरी ना. हाँ,
और
correct.
दो के ऊपर डेली मसला हो रहा है. तो मेरी जो उस टाइम पे लीडरशिप थी, बात हुई, मैंने बोला यार ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, या तो हो तो खराब सबका काम हो. तो उसके ऊपर हमने रियलाइज किया कि यार दो चार चीजें बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक तो पार्टनरशिप एजेंसी के साथ, दूसरा ये कि जब आप क्लाइंट साइड के ऊपर होते हो ना, एज ए योर रोल इज बेसिकली काम निकलवाना आना चाहिए. आई थिंक दैट्स अ बिगर टैलेंट at a client side. Some people don't have that talent, and I think sometimes they put it blame on the agency. You don't have the talent. Let's put it this way, that you don't have the talent to get the work out of it. उसी आपके बराबर वाला ब्रांड मैनेजर बहुत अच्छा काम निकलवा रहा है. दूसरा ये, there is no training done at a client side कि यार किस तरह एजेंसी के साथ काम करना है. That is, I think, an ownership of a client to make it happen कि you should know कि यार ये creative क्या काम करता है, media क्या काम करता है, visualizer का क्या काम है. When you don't know anything and you just become a client and you start wanting कि मुझे ये भी चाहिए, then you're messing up the whole thing. So client ki there's a lot of responsibility on that, and I think it's important to
Several
understand
times we've had to go back to our brand managers. I think the brand manager wala point bada acha hai, because a brand manager is, at least for us, a brand manager also looks at P&L, innovation and renovation, marketing activities, has to deal with the retail and trade, and everything. So it's some companies have कि जी brand manager ने सिर्फ communication बनानी है और okay bye bye. But हमारे पास it's a through and through responsibility for a brand manager, which is why I feel that the ones that know how to, the smartest ones, the most strategic minded ones may not be well suited to that job, because they'll try to do everything themselves. The best suited ones are the ones that can bring everybody together on a table and really put a lot of heads on the table and make it all happen. And there's a lot of conversations between now and 2.5 years ago, July 2018, when I came here, where I've had to sort of talk to people about maybe not the right way to deal with the agency. Have you thought about relooking how you speak to them or how we're approaching this and so on and so forth. It's not necessarily put your foot down on people all the time mentality, where or it's and from the agency side, it's not always the client is evil. It's maybe we need to have a bit more empathy. And I think oftentimes agency staffs that have a lot of empathy for what their clients are trying to do will be the most successful agency side people as well. Creative and media.
Agreed. Achha, last
Got
question.
it.
Very simple. You just say yes or no. Full service agency or specialized agencies? Do you see in the future it will be a full service model, or you see creative media separate?
Complicated versus simple.
Sorry, come again. I didn't hear you.
For a specialized agency, I would have to hire separate agencies for every little thing, which means there's 7 emails going out for one thing. Simple agency means an amoebic structure, whereas there's one guy that I'm supposed to talk to. He's supposed to bring it all together, and that's value to me.
Yeah.
So full service.
That's an interesting one. Pakistan में हो रहा है ये?
नहीं हो रहा. कहीं कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा.
But पाकिस्तान में क्या
I think they will come.
फुल सर्विस मीडिया भी था, जो फुल सर्विस मीडिया कोई ना कोई तो बोल देगा कि मैं कर रहा हूँ, और वो कर रहा होगा किसी छोटे स्केल पे. लेकिन I mean, you know, in any meaningful scale, I don't. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong. And you know, you have YouTube comments and Facebook comments and all that going on. So I'm sure somebody will correct me, and please do, and I'll be happy to be stand corrected. I don't think at a scale
strategic
that
level
needs to happen, it's not happening.
अगर
अली, मुझे बात बताए.
लोगों ने लाहौर की फ्लाइटें भी बुक करा ली हैं.
अली मुझे बात बताए. But Ali,
comments में मेरा address नहीं लिखना.
Ali, but at your end, at least, are you still putting one agency as a lead agency on your account that coordinates with other? Yeah, क्योंकि वो होता था, मुझे याद है मेरे टाइम पे.
I'm sorry. So that's what I think is simple and best. But can my current agency do influencer marketing for me? No. Can my current agency do out of home for me?
No.
Maybe.
And no. So they'll claim and they will say, and that's okay. But do they really have the boots on the ground? Or is it just one guy that we hired a long time ago and we thought what to do with him? To outdoor kar le. Like, I mean, don't that's not a reasonable way to enter the market. If you want to enter the market, make the investment, get there, own something, buy out Kinetic, buy out some other agency, make it happen. That's how you do that. You don't just say, yeah, we have this one guy and, we can do something or the other about out of home. That's not convincing for me, who has to spend 150 million, 200 million rupees into a media. And I'm like, you're this one guy that they hired who's just lying around doing nothing. Usko ab mere pe pay kare. It's not really going to work.
So basically, there is a gap, right? There is a huge gap in opportunity. Cool.
Yeah.
Achha,
but I think some agencies in KL are doing it, right? You guys are doing out of home integrated. You're doing influencer marketing out of your own ideas and everything. You're working. लेकिन अच्छा तुम अपने काम की नहीं कर रहे, मैं तुम्हारे काम की बात कर रहा हूँ. मैं करूँगा.
Okay, करो तो. Okay. एक comment है रिजवान का. You can say no, you can say yes, you can say no comments as well.
Okay. I will also say one thing. Achha.
What's the opinion of these advertisers on pre-bought committed inventory by the agencies?
रिजवान भाई, आप ही ने स्टार्ट किया था इधर सारा ये सारा आप ही का कसूर है. अब आप आगे ऑडिट साइड पे और हमें लगा रहे हैं. ये गलत है. अच्छा, so my personal opinion, even when I was in Group M, so I was part of the team that went in and got a very sizable client to sign an APAC. वो जो साइन क्या कराते हो एक्चुअली के लिए तुम लोग? NDA होता है
नहीं,
opt-in जो होता है, opt-in letter. We got it done for all of Asia Pacific, and I heard that client was running it in Pakistan also. I was very happy. But the more you think about it, if your moral core, your ethical core lies at creating value for clients and charging, and then that's where you charge transparently and you say, "यार, मैं इतने कमाना चाहता हूँ." So then why is it that you feel the need to hide or not disclose what you bought that inventory for. I'm willing. You say that I have a service that goes out aggressively pre-buys, not commits, pre-buys inventory. And अगर commitment है तो उस पे मेरी what's the penalty I'm willing to pay? Because committed means I'm Group M of the cloud of my clients. I'm going to buy it for or Starcom or Publicis or Omnicom, because now that I've mentioned it, I need to mention all of them. कोई और agency है उसका नाम भी दे दो. Not just one, but all. Across the media agency landscape, I'm this particular agency across the breadth and depth of my clients with their volumes. I'm going to go in and commit to you that I will buy 100 minutes. That is still a commitment based on somebody else's spends. Okay, so commitment nahi. You put out the cash on the table, you put the money on the table as your own finance and treasury. You buy that inventory, don't commit it. Show me proof of purchase, etc. And then you say, look, I've created value for you. वैसे 100 रुपए का मिलता, अब 80 रुपए का मिलता है. I will charge you 10% on top. मैं 9 रुपए आपसे लूंगा, 8 रुपए आपसे लूंगा. आपने वो 8 रुपए लेने, आप ले ले. For me personally, that is the moral and ethical ground I feel.
I think we lost him.
बड़ा heavy comment था, तो वो शायद I think signal ही out हो गया. अली कुमार.
किसी ने वहां से
नहीं,
खींच
मेरा
दिया.
सिर्फ ये था कि can you hear me?
Yeah,
वो
I can hear you.
comment बहुत heavy
Yeah,
था, तो
so-
signals थोड़े से off हो रहे हैं.
हाँ, तो इस पे ये कि यार आपने चार्ज करना है मुझे 80 रुपीज का, आपने लिया है, आप 10% या 20% भी खरीदना चार्ज करना चाह रहे हैं, बट इट्स क्रिएट्स वैल्यू फॉर मी. 4% मैं फिर भी बचा लूंगा, तो यार ठीक है, एंड दैट्स डिस्क्लोज्ड. बट व्हेन इट्स नॉन डिस्क्लोज्ड, there is an earthquake in here in Lahore.
Allah khair kare.
And the whole thing was shaking, I think.
Really?
I didn't notice it, but okay. Abhi sahi hai? The idea is to go out, not come up, if there is one. So I think I'll with that with this earthquake that was
Earth-shaking
run by.
point of
I think we are already 5 minutes over the time.
Yeah, so I think with that earth-shaking comment from Rizan Bhai and the response to that, I will also make a run for it, literally.
Yeah, take care.
And,
Thank you so
great
much for
talking to you
joining
guys.
today.
I hope you guys are doing amazingly well. Yeah,
Hopefully.
thank
We're
you.
all good.
And my pleasure. And I hope you guys are doing well. Stay awesome. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Take care. Thank you so much, Ali. Take care. Allah Hafiz.